CIET NCERT presents audiobook Khel Yatra, textbook of physical education and well-being for grade 8.
Page 57. On the top of the page, you will find the QR code. Scanning the QR code will take you to the additional resources about this unit. Unit 3. At the top right of the page, there is a picture of two children engaged in physical activity. The child on the left is running, and the child on the right has his knees up towards chest while airborne. Fundamental skills of sports. Athletics. Athletics is one of the oldest and most basic forms of sport. It is also known as track and field, and the events of athletics are classified as track events, field events, and combined events. The fundamental skills of athletics are divided into different categories, including running, jumping, and throwing events. Athletics is a multi-physical skill training discipline that emphasizes improving physical traits like strength, speed, endurance, agility, flexibility, and coordination. It comprises a wide range of events, including long distance running, jumping, throwing, and sprinting. Athletics have a positive impact on human development throughout the physical training phase of education. The appropriate operation and physical development of the human body is assured by carefully chosen activities and their application in all age groups and physical education fields. Running, jumping, throwing, and walking all contribute to the growth and development of the physiological system as well as fundamental physical and technical skills. Page 58. Furthermore, athletics is a way to develop character and willpower during training and competition. Physical education teachers may assist in development characteristics like willpower, determination, resoluteness, self discipline, team spirit, and awareness to succeed by observing how athletes behave throughout practice and competition. Running. Running is a method of terrestrial locomotion by which humans and other animals move quickly on foot. Running is an aerial gait in which the feet are above the ground. Running is one of the most essential athletic skills requiring proper technique, speed, endurance, and coordination. Techniques to start the race. There are two types of starts. 1. Crouch start or sitting start. This is used for all running events up to 400 meter. It allows the runner to react to the sound and start the race as fast as possible by properly positioning their center of gravity in the set position. In a short distance race, the outcome is decided by a quick start and an increased acceleration capacity. Modern starting techniques use three different types of starting positions which are outlined here. A. Bunch or bullet start. B. Medium start. C. Elongated start. 2. Standing start. This type of start is commonly used in middle distance and long distance races. The athlete begins in an upright position with one foot slightly ahead of the other and starts running smoothly when the race begins. This start allows for better pacing and control over longer distances. In this grade, you will only learn about crouch or sitting start. Page 59. FSA 1. Crouch or sitting start. Warm up, jogging, slow running, dynamic stretching. Skill, crouch or sitting start. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, slow stretch and hold method. Circle time, awareness of the reaction time, acceleration and balance. Crouch or sitting start. The crouch start is an essential technique for sprinting events, allowing athletes to generate maximum acceleration. Block placement and adjustment. There are four pictures showing the foot positioning, block spacing, and track placement. The top left picture shows legs in starting blocks from side view. The top right picture is the aerial view of starting blocks. Bottom left picture is foot positioning of both foot that should be placed 1.5 foot length behind the starting blocks. The bottom right picture shows the proper block placement on the turn. Page 60. On the top of the page is the picture of a girl child starting from on your marks to set and then to run phase. 1. On your marks position. Point 1. On the command on your marks, the runners assume the position for the crouch start. Point 2. They take a position directly in front of the starting blocks. Point 3. The foot of the stronger leg is placed on the front block and the foot of the other leg on the rear block. Point 4. Care should be taken that only the tip of the foot touches the ground and the rear foot is pressed firmly against the block. Point 5. The knee of the rear leg is now placed on the ground. Both hands, shoulder width apart, contact the ground with the thumbs. Point 6. The thumb and the index finger are spread so that they form a high bridge. Point 7. Head carriage is relaxed and the eyes are focused on a point on the ground. Teachers should, point 1, ensure that the blocks are appropriately set up for the runner. Point 2. Observe the runner's posture including the head position. Point 3. Check that the hand position is comfortable and correctly placed. At the bottom left, there is a picture of a child in on your mark position. Page 61. On the top of the page, there is a picture of a girl showing the progression through acceleration phase. 2. Set position. Point 1. At set, the runner raised their hips by lifting the knee off the rear leg off the ground. Point 2. The body weight is distributed almost evenly over the four supporting areas. Point 3. The head remains in a natural relaxed position. Point 4. The set position conveys to the runner's body the preliminary tension necessary for a powerful start from the blocks. Point 5. In order to achieve a high initial speed, the angles of both legs are of particular importance. An angle of about 90 degree at the front knee and of about 110 degree to 130 degree at the rear knee is appropriate. Teachers should, point 1, observe from the front and side. Point 2, observe the position of the trunk and the limbs. Point 3, ensure that runners are stable. Point 4, confirm that the runner's focus is on sprinting from the blocks. On the bottom left, there is a picture of a child in set position, raising the hips by lifting the knee of the rear leg off the ground. Page 62. 3. Drive phase. Point 1. At go, the sprinter starts without any delay. Point 2. A quick response to the gun is of major importance for a fast start. Point 3. The power exerted on the blocks when starting will transmit the highest possible initial velocity to the runner's body. Point 4. This is brought about by an explosive pushing of both legs against the blocks. Point 5. The main technical skills in the leg action are: after coming off the rear starting block, the push-off leg starts to drive forward. That is, the thigh is rapidly drawn forward and upward. The leading leg should remain in an approximately horizontal position. Point 6. Proper arm action. The arms have an important function in helping to produce the starting acceleration. Pay special attention to the action of the arms. The movement of the swinging leg requires that the respective arm swings forward and upward. The arm tends to bend increasingly at the elbow until it reaches an angle of about 90 degrees in the final phase of the movement. At the bottom, there is a picture showing 3 stages of a sprinter moving from the crouch position to the running position. Page 63. Teachers should: Point 1. Observe the speed of reaction to the gun and the sequence of movement. Point 2. Observe the speed and extension of the knee and hip joints. Point 3. Ensure that the athlete optimizes the drive from the blocks. Point 4. Observe that the arms move quickly so that there is a coordinated leg balance. In this process, at the first swing towards the forehead, the elbow has a slight outward spread. The opposite arm performs a corresponding counter movement backwards. 4. Acceleration phase. Point 1. At the beginning of the acceleration phase, the runner has a marked forward body lean. Point 2. With an increasing rate and the length of stride, the angle of inclination gradually decreases so that after 20 meters, the runner reaches the normal sprinting position. Point 3. The forward body lean should be at its maximum when the front foot comes off the starting block and during the initial strides. Point 4. A good body lean is a function of the power exerted by the push-off force during the first few strides. Point 5. The greater this force, the smaller the angle between the runner's body and the ground. Point 6. Runners with a poor push-off force will come to an upright position sooner. Point 7. In some cases, runners with a good push-off force prematurely assume an upright position because they raise their heads immediately after the start in order to look up to the finish. Page 64. Point 8. Upon the command "on your marks," the body weight is either distributed over both legs or is already over the front leg. Point 9. Upon the command "set," the flexion of the front knee is in the most cases increased, and in all runners the body weight is now over the front leg. Point 10. The upper body is bent forward. Point 11. If the time lag between the commands "set" and "go" is long, it will result in the danger of a false start due to a further forward shift of the body's center of gravity. There is a picture in the middle of the page that shows sequence of 3 figures showing sprinter transitioning through the running phases on a track. Teachers should: Point 1. Observe the action of the limbs and position of the trunk and head. Point 2. Observe the increase in stride length and frequency. Point 3. Ensure that the runner's transition into the sprinting action is smooth. 5. Finish phase. Point 1. The runner maintains top speed through the finish line. Point 2. The runner leans forward slightly to break the finish line faster. Page 65. Point 3. The runner uses proper arm drive and stride control to sustain momentum. Point 4. The runner avoids deaccelerating too soon to ensure the best possible time. Point 5. The following techniques can be used to attain optimal finishing position. Run through. This technique involves maintaining full speed beyond the finish line to ensure the best possible race time. Lunge. In a close race, an athlete may extend one leg forward and lean their upper body towards the finish line to break the tape first. Shoulder shrug. Moving one shoulder forward at the finish line can help an athlete gain an advantage in a very close race by crossing the finish line first. On the bottom of the page, there are two pictures. The top image is of lateral view with four figures of a runner progressing from the acceleration phase. The bottom image is of the top view of the runner in lunge technique near the finish line. Page 66. Lead up activity. Crouch shuttle run. Point 1. Mark two lines 25 meters away from each other. Point 2. Name the lines A and B. Point 3. On the command on your mark, take the crouch position behind the starting line A to start the shuttle run. Point 4. On the command set, take the 4 touch position as explained in start. Point 5. On the command go or the whistle sound, start running to the other line B, touch the line and come back to the starting line A. Point 6. Touch the starting line A and start running to the other line B again and repeat it. Point 7. First one to cover the distance 4 times from A to B, B to A to B and B to A will be the winner. In the center of the page, there is a picture of a child running from line A to B. Both the lines are 25 meters away from each other. Cones are placed at both ends. Circle time. Awareness of the reaction time, acceleration and balance. Point 1. Discuss how awareness of the distance between starting line and your step length can be beneficial for your start. Point 2. Discuss how the distance between the starting line and your foot can affect your balance. Page 67. FSA 2. Chase and tag. Warm up, jogging, slow running, dynamic stretching. Activity, chase and tag. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, slow stretch and hold. Circle time, proper technique. Chase and tag. Point 1. Make two groups A and B. Point 2. All members of group A will slowly run or walk towards a line 15 meters ahead. On the bottom of the page, there is a picture of two groups positioned on opposite sides, Group B on the left and Group A on the right, both represented by 5 grey dots. 5-meter distance marked on the left towards a line and 15 meter on the right towards the loop. Curved arrows showing the running pattern for Group A members on right side. Page 68. Point 3. The runners will touch the line 15 meters ahead and accelerate back to the starting line. Point 4. Members of Group B should be 5 meters away from the 15-meter line. Point 5. Once a member of Group A touches the line and runs back towards the starting line, members of Group B will attempt to tag the members of Group A. Circle time, proper technique. Discuss how using the proper technique was important for saving time. Did you know? Cadence, number of steps taken per minute or the rate at which a person walks or runs. Calculate your cadence. Page 69. FSA 3. Reaction game. Warm up, slow jogging, slow shuttle run, dynamic stretching. Activity, reaction game, cool down, fast to slow jogging, static stretching. Circle time, strategy and winning. Reaction game. Point 1. Mark the ground with a start and a finish line 20 to 25 meters from each other. Point 2. Sit on the ground with legs straight behind the start line with your back towards the finish line. Point 3. On the command go or the sound of the whistle, stand up and turn from either side and run towards the finish line. Circle time, strategy and winning. Discuss how strategizing the position of players affect the outcome. There is a picture on this page of the sequence of 5 figures for progression of movement. First, person sitting on ground. Second, person beginning to stand. Third, person turning to stand. Fourth, person starting to run. And fifth, person is in full running stride. Page 70. Jumping. Jumping is an essential skill in athletics, defined as the act of propelling oneself into the air using one or both legs. It requires power, coordination, and technique. From a technical perspective, jumping events vary in complexity, ranging from the simple long jump to the high jump and triple jump, with the pole vault appearing more intricate. The primary objective in these events is to achieve the greatest possible height or distance. In the triple jump, athletes aim to maximize the total distance of 3 successive jumps, while in the pole vault, they utilize a pole to assist in clearing greater heights. The key components of jumping are: 1. Approach run. A controlled run to generate momentum. Athletes must maintain speed and balance before takeoff. 2. Takeoff. The athlete pushes off from the ground using one or both legs. Proper body alignment is essential for maximizing height and distance. 3. Flight phase. The body remains in motion after takeoff. Proper posture and leg movement are crucial to maintaining balance. 4. Landing. Athletes should land with bent knees to absorb impact. Athletes should maintain a balanced position to avoid fouls. Page 71. FSA 4. Long jump. Warm up. Slow jogging. Slow shuttle run. Dynamic stretching. Skill, long jump. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, slow stretch and hold, circle time, strategy. Long jump. The long jump is divided into the following phases: approach, takeoff, flight, and landing. First, approach phase. Point 1. Approach length varies from 10 strides for beginners to over 20 strides for elite jumpers. Point 2. The running technique is similar to sprinting, with speed gradually increasing until takeoff. Point 3. The jumper accelerates to its maximum controllable speed. Point 4. Maintaining a consistent stride pattern is crucial for an optimal takeoff position. At the bottom of the page, there is a picture of sequence of 5 figures in the approach phase running motion. Page 72. At the top of the page, there is a picture of the sequence of 8 figures progression from approach to takeoff phase. It is labeled with approach and takeoff phases in directional arrows. 2. Takeoff phase. Point 1. The foot plant is quick and executed with a down and back motion. In bracket 1. Point 2. Takeoff time is kept to a minimum with the takeoff leg bending as little as possible. Point 3. The free leg's thigh is propelled to a horizontal position. 2 written in bracket. Point 4. The ankle, knee, and hip joints are fully extended during takeoff. Point 5. The jumper generates upward momentum while reducing the loss of forward speed. Point 6. A powerful push off from the takeoff board enhances jump distance. At the bottom of the page, there is an illustration of four figures demonstrating takeoff phase in detail. The figure is of the progression of the athlete's movement from running approach through actual takeoff. First is labeled as 1 and the last with 2. Page 73. On the top of the page, there is a sequence of 8 figures of the complete flight and landing phases of long jump. The illustration is labeled with flight and landing phase with directional arrows. 3. Flight phase. Point 1. The jumper prepares for landing while maintaining balance and control in the air. Point 2. Three different techniques can be used: sail, hang, and hitch kick. Point 3. In this, players will be learning only sail and hang. Point 4. Sail. The simplest technique where the jumper extends their legs forward. 1. The free leg is maintained in the takeoff position. 2. The trunk stays upright and vertical. 3. The takeoff leg trails for most of the flight. 4. Near the end of the flight, the takeoff leg bends and moves forwards and upwards. 5. Both legs extend forward for landing. Point 5. Hang. The jumper stretches arms and legs backward before bringing them forward. 1. The free leg lowers through hip joint rotation. 2. The hips are pushed forward. 3. The takeoff leg aligns parallel to the free leg. 4. The arms are positioned upward and backward. Page 74. On the top of the page, there is a picture of sequence of 7 figures in the complete long jump from approach through landing. The caption reads, "Ideal technique especially for jumpers in the 6 to 7 meters range." 4. Landing phase. Point 1. The legs are nearly fully extended. Point 2. The trunk leans forward. Point 3. The arms are pulled backward. Point 4. The hips are pushed forward towards the touchdown point. Point 5. The jumper strives to maximize the distance of the flight path. Point 6. Landing with the feet first while avoiding backward movements prevents distance loss. Point 7. Proper body positioning minimizes impact and enables a smooth transition after landing. Circle time strategy. Discuss their strategies, teamwork, and challenges faced during the lead up activity. Page 75. Lead up activity. Point 1. An obstacle course is set up around a square area with a designated group of hunters whose goal is to capture other athletes. Point 2. Captured athletes must complete a lap of the obstacle course before re-entering the square. Point 3. The aim of the hunters is to remove all athletes from the square simultaneously to win. Point 4. If at least one athlete remains in the square by the end of all rounds, the non-hunters win. Point 5. The game is played in limited rounds to prevent fatigue. Point 6. A new team of hunters is assigned at the start of each round to ensure fairness and rotation. At the bottom of the page, there is a picture of square area with multiple children. Grey obstacle boxes positioned around the perimeter of the square. Children are both inside the square and navigating around the obstacles. Page 76. FSA 5. Standing broad jump. Warm up, slow jogging, slow spot jump, slow sit and up, dynamic stretching. Activity: standing broad jump, cool down, fast to slow jogging, jog with a bending position, static stretching. Circle time, dependency on others. Standing broad jump. Point 1. Make multiple teams of 5 members, each who will be standing behind the starting line. At the bottom of the page, there are 3 sequential figures of standing broad jump. On the left, the person is crouched starting position with bent knees and arms back. In the center, the person is mid jump with body extended upwards and arm raised. In the right, the person is in landing in a crouched position with knees bent. Page 77. Point 2. The first member will perform a standing broad jump from the starting line, and the second member will start their standing broad jump from the end point of the first member, and so on. Point 3. The combined distance covered by the standing broad jumps of all 5 members will be marked. Point 4. The team to cover the maximum distance will be the winner. Circle time, dependency on others. Discuss other exercises to improve jumping ability and the conversion of kinetic energy into potential energy that you develop during the approach run and its significance. At the bottom of the page, there are 3 sequential figures of standing broad jump. On the left, the person is crouched starting position with bent knees and arms back. In the center, the person is mid jump with body extended upward and arms raised. In the right, the person is in landing in crouch position with knees bent. Page 78. FSA 6. Hopping. Warm up, slow jogging, slow spot jump, single and double leg jump, dynamic stretching. Activity: hopping. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, jog with both hands sideways and upwards, static stretching. Circle time, technique of hopping. Hopping. Point 1. Mark 2 lines 15 meters apart from each other. At the bottom of the page, there are 3 images labeled as A, B and C. A child is performing hopping sequence. On the left, A, it's preparing to hop. In the center, labeled as B, bending knees before jump. In the right, C, lifting off the ground on one leg. Page 79. Point 2. Stand behind the starting line and start hopping as shown in the figure. Once you reach the other line, turn around and repeat with the other leg. Try to finish the distance in the shortest time possible. Point 3. Multiple players will do this activity together as a race. The first one to finish will be the winner. Circle time, technique of hopping. Discuss the significance of barefoot hopping versus hopping with shoes in relation to body weight and the effects of gravitational force. Also, discuss how injury can be prevented with the use of protective gear. The image is in the sequence of takeoff, mid-air and landing on one foot. Single leg hop is written in the caption. Page 80. FSA 7. Making an arch. Warm up, slow jogging, slow spot jump and try to make arch, dynamic stretching. Activity: making an arch. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, jog backwards, jog with both hands sideways or upwards, static stretching. Circle time, feeling of success. Making an arch. Point 1. Put a block few steps away. Point 2. Run and put your strong foot on the block. Point 3. Push yourself upwards and jump while making a backward arch in the air. Point 4. Land on the ground and repeat this 10 times. Circle time. Feeling of success. Point 1. Discuss the difference in the technique used by different players. Point 2. Discuss how you felt when you were able to do the jump with proper technique. At the center of the page, towards right, there are 3 images in sequence of movement. In the first image towards left, the child approaches the block and keeps one foot on it. Next, in the center, the child push off and arch their body backward in the air with both arms raised. Finally, the child lands back on the ground. The arrow indicates the motion path of the jump. Page 81, FSA 8, Landing. Warm up, slow jogging, slow spot jump, and try to make arch, dynamic stretching. Skill, landing. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, jog backward, jog with both hands sideways or upwards, static stretching. Circle time, thinking in air. Landing. Point 1. Take a few steps behind the takeoff board and jump off. Point 2. Land on the pit using the following technique. Step into the sandpit from the takeoff board. Make an effort to stretch your legs and land with your body slightly forward and your feet together. When you land, try bending forward and extending your arms past your legs. Circle time, thinking in air. Discuss what you were thinking to ensure that the landing is proper and discuss how injury can be prevented with the use of proper landing techniques. There are 2 images on this page. On the left, there is an image of a child performing jump with a forward lean and scooping motion. On the right, a child is demonstrating a sideways landing technique. The left side image is captioned scoop landing and the right side image is captioned side fall landing. Page 82. FSA 9. High jump. Warm up, slow jogging, slow shuttle run, dynamic stretching. Skill, high jump. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, static stretching. Circle time, reflection. High jump. The high jump is divided into the following phases: approach, takeoff, flight, and landing. First, approach phase. Point 1. Initially, the approach run is J-shaped, straight at first with 3 to 6 strides and then curved with 4 to 5 strides. At the bottom of the page, there is an image of a child performing the high jump sequence from left to right, starting position on a mat, running approach, takeoff, arching backward over the bar, landing position. It is labeled landing and flight from left to right with directional arrows. Page 83. Foot plant for the initial strides is on the ball of the foot. Body lean is moderately forward for the initial strides. Velocity is increased continuously throughout the approach. At the center of the page, there is an image. On the left side is the sequence of 4 figures running, demonstrating progressive running approach. It is labeled side view. On the right side, there is image of the back view of a child during approach run. It is labeled posterior view. Point 2. Final. Stride frequency is increased continuously. Body leans inward. The angle is dependent on the approach speed. Forward lean is reduced and the body is upright. The center of mass is lowered moderately in the penultimate stride. Active drive on the right foot in the penultimate stride. There is an image on the bottom of the page of the sequence of 7 to 8 figures in complete approach progression from left to right. Labels indicate takeoff on the left and approach on the right with directional arrows. Page 84. 2. Takeoff phase. Point 1. Foot plant is active, quick and flat with a down and back motion. 1 written in bracket. Point 2. The takeoff footprints towards the landing area. Point 3. The time on ground and the bending of the takeoff leg are both minimized. Point 4. The knee of the free leg is driven up until the thigh is parallel with the ground. Point 5. The body is vertical at the end of the takeoff. 2 written in bracket. There is an image at the center of sequence of 4 figures demonstrating the takeoff phase. The second figure is labeled 2 and the fourth figure is labeled 1. 3. Flight phase. Point 1. The jumper uses one of the two main techniques, straddle or Fosbury flop. Point 2. We will discuss only straddle in this class. Point 3. Straddle technique. 1. The jumper clears the bar facing downwards. 2. The takeoff leg extends first over the bar, followed by the trailing leg. Page 85. 3. The body remains parallel to the bar with the head and shoulders leading the clearance. 4. Landing phase. Point 1. The jumper's head is drawn towards the chest. Point 2. Landing is on the shoulders and back. Point 3. Knees are apart for touchdown. Lead up activity. Each pair stands in front of a soft high jump bar. One partner gently throws a small ball above the bar and the other must jump, clear the bar and catch the ball before it lands. Partners switch role after each attempt. The pair with the most successful catches wins. Circle time. Reflection. Discuss in pairs and share their highest cleared height. Discuss what worked well in their approach and identify areas for improvement. What factors will you consider while setting the next goal for clearing the height? Page 86, FSA 10. Heading suspended ball. Warm up, slow jogging, slow spot jump, single and double leg jump, dynamic stretching. Activity, heading suspended ball. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, jog with both hands, sideways or upwards, static stretching. Circle time, success. Heading suspended ball. Point 1. Suspend different balls from ropes at different heights. Point 2. Take a 3-step run up and hit the ball with your head. Point 3. After successfully hitting the ball with your head, move to the next highest ball. Point 4. Repeat it 4 to 5 times. On the right side of the page, there is an image of sequence of approaching and heading a suspended ball. Circle time, success. Point 1. Discuss and identify the qualities of other players which you would like to imbibe. Point 2. What did you feel when you were unable to touch the ball with your head? How did you overcome this feeling? Page 87, FSA 11. Trikon Kanchi Kood. Warm up, slow jogging, slow spot jump, single and double leg jump, dynamic stretching. Activity, Trikon Kanchi Kood. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, jog with both hands sideways or upwards, slow stretch hold. Circle time, identify the mistakes. Trikon Kanchi Kood. Point 1. Mark the playing area in the form of a triangle with points A, B and C placed 10 meters apart from each other. Point 2. Place 3 boxes between points A and B at equal distance from each other. 5 cones of 6 inches between points B and C in the first 5 meters, and an obstacle, hurdle, or pole at point C in a way that it is not too high for the kids to jump over. Point 3. The objective of the Trikona Kenchi Kood is to finish the obstacle course as soon as possible. Point 4. The player will run from point A to point B while jumping on the box between the points and then jumping off the box, trying to go as high as possible. Point 5. Once the player reaches point B, they will run from point B to point C in a way that they will jump over the cones and run towards the pole at point C. Point 6. The players will then jump over the pole at point C using the scissor technique of high jump. Page 88. Point 7. Once the jump is completed, the players will run from point C to point A as fast as possible. Circle time. Identify the mistakes. Discuss how, by changing the rules, you can modify the activity and make it harder or easier. There is an image of 3 figures demonstrating the running and jumping sequence at the center of the page. Page 89, FSA 12, putting ball, warm up, slow jogging, free hand exercise, dynamic stretching. Activity, putting ball. Cool down, fast to slow jogging, static stretching. Circle time, injuries in shot put. How to play. Point 1. Mark 2 throwing lines 15 meters apart. Point 2. Make multiple pairs of players. Point 3. One player will stand behind one line and another player will stand behind the other line facing each other. Point 4. Put a medicine ball near your neck and lock it. Point 5. Throw the ball as far as possible in the direction of the other player. Point 6. The other player will pick the ball and throw it to the first player in the same way. Point 7. Remember to extend your leg and lift your chest as you throw the ball. Page 90. Circle time. Injuries in shot put. Discuss the difference you felt while putting the balls of different weights and sizes. On the top of the page, there is a large diagram of putting ball setup in a field. 3 players are positioned on left side and 3 players are positioned on the right side in various actions like serving, receiving, and playing positions. Page 91. Assessment by teacher. Starts. 1. The student needs more practice of starts to comfortably perform it. 2. The student is able to demonstrate start positions with minor mistakes. 3. The student is able to correctly perform start position with help. 4. The student is able to perform start position without any help. 5. The student is able to correctly start the race under pressure. Running. 1. The student needs more practice of running. 2. The student is able to run properly. 3. The student is able to correctly perform running with efforts. 4. The student is able to run without any distress. 5. The student is able to assess and appreciate a good performance by the opponent. Long jump. 1. The student needs more practice of techniques to jump. 2. The student is able to demonstrate jumping using right technique. 3. The student is able to correctly perform jumping using right technique. 4. The student is able to decide which technique should be used for jumping. 5. The student is able to assess and appreciate a good jump by the opponent. High jump. 1. The student needs more practice of techniques to jump. 2. The student is able to demonstrate jumping using right technique. 3. The student is able to correctly perform jumping using right technique. 4. The student is able to decide which technique should be used for jumping. 5. The student is able to assess and appreciate a good jump of the opponent. Page 92, shot put. 1. The student needs more practice of putting the ball or shot. 2. The student is able to demonstrate putting the ball or shot using right technique. 3. The student is able to correctly perform putting the ball or shot using right technique. 4. The student is able to correctly perform putting the ball or shot in the right direction and desired space. 5. The student is able to assess and appreciate a good put of the opponent. Overcoming self-distress. 1. The student reacts emotionally and impulsively without attempting to reduce distress. 2. The student struggles to solve problems and avoids self-reflection. 3. The student makes simple attempt to think and solve problems but with little success. 4. The student tries to think about issues thoroughly and find solutions but occasionally reacts emotionally. 5. The student learns from upsetting experiences and approaches problems with composure. Unit 3 ends here.
Khel Yatra. You are just listening to the textbook of physical education and well-being for grade 8. Narration Swati Verma. Sound recordist Prasoon Kumar. Assistance in production Mukul Singh. Directed and produced by Vimalesh Chaudhary. This audiobook is brought to you by CIET NCERT, New Delhi, India.